All right. So now I have the honor of bringing onto stage Kathy Holt. Kathy, are you here?
He is.
Yay. I got to know
Yes, I'm here.
Kathy. Hi, Kathy. So good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been a while.
It has. So Kathy and I got to hang out in person at the Emmy gifting event a couple months ago in LA. And I tell you what, our community of sisters here is incredible. You can feel the energy here online, right? As we're all together, but nothing beats the in-person interaction and getting to spend time with our 262 sisters in person. So, Kathy, so good to see you today. So Kathy is a very special woman. She is the international best-selling author. She's a global thought leader, and she's a private coach to all women who seek higher levels of entrepreneurial success. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs here today, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, and that is Kathy's jam. Um, Kathy, what I always love to share a fun, what you don't know about Kathy is that she opened her first natural food product store in Brazil. So I think that's amazing. Uh, that's quite the international expansion there, Kathy. Comment on that really quick. I have to hear just a little more.
Well, actually, I was married to a Brazilian for 25 years, and we moved to Brazil, which was supposed to be forever, but circumstances changed. And I've never been one to sit still. And I realized my original background and degree is in biochemistry. And I went to the Amazon, I kept hearing about all these incredible natural resources in the Amazon and the medicinal properties that they had and how they could really make a difference, and got more into the homeopathy of natural products. And there wasn't one in the city of about 1.2 million people where I lived. And so I decided that was what I wanted to do, because here they had all these resources available to them and they didn't really understand how they should be using them, or that they were even available. So I just, that was that first entrepreneurial thing of, well, somebody's got to do it, so I guess I will.
That's fantastic. That's true entrepreneurial spirit and why you are a coach to entrepreneurs. So it's a perfect segue. And I also want to share the music that Kathy is listening to, which is jazz. So if we have any jazz fans here, do some jazz hands. And it's Stan Getz. Is that right, Kathy? Is that
Yep.
that's the
Yeah, he
artist,
does a
right?
lot of Latin music, and I having I lived in Brazil for 5 years, and I really became enamored with their music.
All right. So everyone check out Stan Getz. Put it in your playlist. All right, Kathy. So let's get to the heart of the discussion. And again, for those of you who are new joining us just now, pay attention to all of Kathy's amazing tips and advice for entrepreneurs, because I will ask a question at the end of her session. And she has a gift, a VIP gift for the winner who answers that question first correctly. And again, you can only win one VIP gift per summit. So don't hesitate to pop in your answer in the chat, even if you don't look like you're the first person. So Kathy is going to be giving away a 90-minute private session and 262 journal, which is an incredible value of over $400. So thank you for that, Kathy. One lucky woman is going to win that today. And then her gift for everyone is 10 strategies to awaken your inner leader. So she'll post that when we're done, and I want you all to grab that. That sounds amazing, Kathy. So Kathy's topic today is yes to opportunity, all tides rise. What a great topic. Kathy, when you become a leader, how does your life change?
There are so many aspects of stepping into your leadership. I think one of the big ones, it's like we always want to know what's in it for me, because it is a little bit scary sometimes to put yourself out there and take on a leadership position, or even just lead something in your community. that you see you want to change. But I think the personal growth that comes out of that is, and stepping out of your comfort zone for sure, but you learn new skills, you acknowledge what you're good at. You really start thinking about, what am I good at? And then you also, it's not about you're trying to prove your worth, but it will also help you when you figure out your strengths and your leadership capabilities. It'll help you kind of focus on or create more space for those things that you think are really important to you. And you kind of get rid of some of the noise around you and just start really focusing on what you want. Where do you want to go? What are your dreams? Because I think as women, we so often are challenged to find that space because there's so many demands on us. We're trying to multitask and juggle so many balls that sometimes we forget that it's all about it. We need to be all about us also and pursue our dreams. So I think it's the growth, the personal growth. You also gain confidence. Like I said, at first it's scary and you're out of your comfort zone, but as you do it and you see that people go, wow, yes, she knows how to inspire us to do something. You gain confidence, and then you also, it gives you influence and impact. And whether how you use that obviously is up to you, but when people start seeing you as a leader, then they start coming to you because they value your opinion. And I think we all need to step out of the shadow and into our power.
Well said. I love how you said the phrase influence and impact, because we're always being watched, right? Someone's always watching us. And if we feel that calling, that inner calling to be a leader, it's probably because there's a good reason behind it, right? Could you elaborate on that, about that calling to be a leader?
Well, I think, like I just said, if you really do some self-reflection about what are you passionate about, what really makes you happy, what makes you angry, what do you see that you think you could change for the better, or you have a better way of doing it, but you're afraid to voice that opinion. And I think because of, like you said, people thinking you're being judged, or worrying about that, when you really step into your leadership, you find those people who want to follow you. I mean, being a leader isn't a position or a title. It's inspiring people to get together around a dream or a passion or a goal. And when you have a passion and want other people to step into that, then it's powerful, and people also appreciate it. You're always going to have some naysayers. We all know that. But what you'll find is that people really appreciate it. The first time I really kind of, I guess you could say, experienced some kind of leadership, I wasn't being a leader. It was a friend of mine in college who was being a little, she was not part of the in crowd. And she was being a little ostracized. And somebody said something to her one day, and I was like, whoa, did I just hear that? And I just turned to that person and I said, I don't think that was very nice. I don't like what you said. I use my I statements. I don't like what you said. It didn't make me feel good. And I feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And all these people all of a sudden started kind of modeling, I guess you could say, what I was doing. They started saying, not immediately, not that same exact moment, but there were people that came up to me afterwards and says, I'm glad you said something, because that person is just mean. And I was like, then we all need to say something. That is leadership. It's those everyday actions that really are leadership.
Oh, that's such a great story, because you're right. Sometimes we put the word leader on a pedestal and we think, oh, I've got to take on this big group or step into something that I'm not ready for. And just that everyday practice of how can I show up and be a leader in life when I see an injustice or hear something, or be a leader within my family, teaching my kids to be a leader. That's really good stuff, Kathy. I believe you've used the term inner leader before. I've heard you speak about that. Could you expand on what inner leader is?
Yes, I think um, and it's, sometimes it's the social messaging, it's the expectations of women in our society. We don't realize that some of the skills we already have are leadership skills. Sometimes, in the past in the workforce, they've been referred to as soft skills. Well, now those soft skills, the paradigm for leadership has changed so much that those soft skills of like empathy, caring, effective communication, empowering others, helping others to be their best selves, which women we tend to do because we're the caregivers and making sure everybody feels good and is comfortable. Those things are now leadership skills, but they're inside of us already, but we don't recognize them as skills. So we kind of do ourselves an injustice of thinking, oh, I'm not a leader, I don't have those skills. But I think once you start looking at leadership traits, which is part of the handout that everyone gets, you see that you have these things, they're inside of you. So that's that inner leader, that's that ability that's waiting to burst forward if you just want to use, put it to use and and become actualized, become authentic, be yourself.
Mm. What would you say to someone who, uh, gosh, feels the call like you did in that challenging situation where you stood up for somebody and you said that's not right, and in demonstrating leadership, how does someone get over the hump of finding that courageous moment? Because I think that dovetails into that inner leader, right?
Yes, it does. It definitely dovetails. And thank you for that question, because it's kind of like the sportswear company, just do it. I mean, the first time you do it, it's it's frightening. I mean, even to this day, when I speak at a lot of global conferences and speak in front of different groups, there's that fear factor. I mean, you all, if you're not getting nervous, then you have no feelings, I think. So, but I don't let that stop me. I just say, okay, I'm going to do this. The worst that can happen is somebody doesn't like it. The best that can happen is that I can actually maybe impact others and maybe encourage others to step up and speak out.
That's a great answer, because you're right. When you look at, well, what is really the worst case here? The worst case is someone doesn't agree with me. Okay, we're all strong women on this call. We've all encountered many people who don't agree sometimes with what we have to say. So once you realize what the worst case scenario is, it makes it so much easier to find your voice and stand up and be a leader in that situation. So that's fantastic, Kathy. I'm gonna shift to another kind of more challenging topic, because we're going deep today. We want everyone to really feel a life-changing moment on these calls. And I want to talk about how the individuals you work with, they each have different needs, right? Either the group you're speaking to or the individuals you're coaching, they all have different needs. And how can you give us an example of how it can impact us or affect us when we are not necessarily in full leadership of ourselves? What does that mean? How do we work through that? What's the impact?
Well, I'll give two. One that's probably more well known just because it's happened, in the US basically. And that's the woman Shannon Watts, who founded Moms Demand Action. And that's a group of, started out to be just mothers who were scared to death after Sandy Hook. And that's one of the first big school shootings that happened. And it was in an elementary school. And she was afraid for her children because they were that age and they were going to school. So she just started a little Facebook group. Well, first she just started talking to her friends, and they said, "Oh, let's do this on Facebook and see if there's other people. Just what are their fears? What could be done? What seems like logical solutions to dealing with these issues?" And it is now a nationwide organization with headquarters in every single state. She didn't start out to be a leader. She just had a concern, a fear, a passion that she got others inspired to follow her. And one of my clients, for example, she was working for a financial firm that was really more into generating new clients rather than, as she put it, servicing those clients. And that did not resonate with her values or what she envisioned of being her job of a financial advisor. She really wanted to get to know the people where they were, what were their needs, how could she help them fulfill those needs by helping them with planning their finances. And it took her a little while, but with us working together and me supporting her in discovering her leadership capabilities and finding her potential, which to me, potential is just unharnessed power. And she started realizing that she was good at this with the clients she was already doing that with, even though the company was kind of like, no, you're spending too much time with them. And she finally went out on her own and now has a thriving financial consulting business where she can do what she feels is the value she can give to her clients. And so I really get chills when I think about it, because I'm so proud of her for really taking that step. And as she said, it was a bit scary. I mean, she was going from, an income she could count on to one that was potentially there, but not immediately there. But what she found is, once her clients found out that she wasn't at this firm anymore, they found her and they wanted to work with her because she was creating a service and a relationship that fit their needs. So I was very proud of her for doing that.
That's a great story, because we have to go deep, right? And we have to be in alignment to be a leader. And sometimes it takes that contrast. It takes, oh gosh, I'm in a job and I'm not in alignment. I can't be a leader here. It doesn't feel good to even try to be a leader here. So thank you for that insight, Kathy. As we wrap up, what do you want to impart upon all these wonderful women here today? What kind of parting thoughts would you like to impact?
Well, I think, I look at having had the journey I've had, and I've changed careers many, many times and, enjoyed all of them, but realized that there was a next step for me, that if that is the way you are feeling or somebody is feeling, then that, I think, is where I'm a key part of what I do, is really creating that relationship to help people, and women especially, find their inner strengths and their inner abilities and blossoming with them, and becoming their authentic selves and leading them to a journey where they are more confident, happier, and being a leader that they can be. I think all women have what it takes to be a leader. It's just a matter of awakening it.
Mm. That's really good, Kathy, because you step into a community like this, 262, and you think, oh, maybe you're just new. Maybe you're joining us new today. And you think, oh, I don't know if I could be a speaker, or I could be in a book. And then you realize, gosh, when you're around so many women who have something to say, all of a sudden, isn't it funny how you find something to say? Like your inner voice just wants to come out. And that's why communities like this are so important. Would you add anything to that, Kathy?
Oh, yes. I mean, you definitely, so much of being a leader, and especially a woman leader, is having, I call it my posse. I have my posse that when I'm feeling down, and this is part of that group, there are so many women, you, Stephanie, and so many of the other women that I know I can reach out to and call, or just say, hey, I need a dose of encouragement, or I need sometimes I just say I need a kick in the pants right now because I'm wallowing and I got to get out of this state. And that's so important. And this 262 community is just, it's an incredible community. There's so many women with so many different skill sets and so many different areas of expertise. and to be able to tap into them whenever I need it, it has made such a difference in my trajectory, even in my entrepreneurship and in my leadership, actually, too.
That's great. What a way to bring it home, Kathy. So let's give Kathy some love. Use your react button, use your jazz hands. Kathy, will you put into the chat how everyone can get a hold of you, because your leadership coaching is invaluable. And then Kathy will be sharing her giveaway of her 10 strategies to awaken your inner leader. So look for that and grab that. And now I have to give you the question to answer for Kathy's big giveaway. She quoted a 3-word phrase when it comes to just sometimes finding the courage to stand up and be a leader. It comes from a sports company. So type in that 3-word phrase that you heard Kathy say along with your email address so that you can be possibly a winner of her VIP gift today. Thank you, Kathy.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. Kathy, thank you so much. Well, look, I wanted to comment. There was something that you said that I thought was that I wrote down. I always, you see my head down, I'm actually writing down when speakers, I love your definition of potential. I've never heard you say that before, that it is unharnessed power. I absolutely love that. I'm writing that down. That's a good hashtag for anyone that's on here today that loves to do hashtags. I wanted to highlight that not only was Kathy Holt at the Emmys, but she wrote the foreword to this wonderful book, the book that we've been talking about all day, that if you purchase today, we're going to gift you one of those journals that she talked about. So this is the gift that comes with it, but also you're going to be able to choose between like 9 different journals. Kathy's going to gift that to the one person who wins, which is also an initiative to this project to keep it going. But I absolutely, that just really took me back. And I need to do a shout out because, you know, there's something about starting a business. There's something about starting a venture. There's starting about all sorts of things. And I think we forget about the word mentor. And when I think about you helping women tap into their inner leadership, it's almost like you're mentoring, because let's face it, this entrepreneurship thing, it's funky. Who wants to agree that it's funky? Like, it is unforeseen and all the, oh, thank you for holding your hand up there. I appreciate you, Piper. We're transparency today, but it is a funky journey and it is unfolding, and who knew we'd be here and who knew we'd be there, and we show all the things and we cheer on all the things and on the sidelines. And if you've ever been behind the stage of an event, like I'm sure, you know, Joanne wants to talk about how we were there at 10 o'clock the night before and figuring stuff out, and the mic not working and blah, blah, blah. And Cheryl's lost and needs to get found and all sorts of things that were going on behind the scenes, that when we opened the doors the next day in Ireland to the book launch, we looked flawless. But there's the behind the scenes part of being an entrepreneur as well. And I think what you do for people is you allow them to be like, I don't know. And as you get stretched to that next level of significance, you need mentorship, you need community. But I've always believed that we need a mentor, we need a coach, we need an expert, we need someone for 3 hours or 3 years, right? And so I just really love the work that you do. And I love the transparency of how even leaders need other leaders need other community. So anyways, I just wanted to thank you for everything that you do. I know that you're in New York, and thank you so much for being there. And for those of you that want to hear more from Kathy, she will be back on the March 7th and 8th summit. We are doing this all over again. We have 50 spots for women to come and share 5, 6, 7 minutes, or take a full featured spot. And Kathy's going to be talking about, and maybe she's going to talk about her own stretch to significance, because by then you will have, and also Stephanie, you guys talking together, you both are launching your solo books. How incredible is that? How incredible is that?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, we look forward to listening to that. You can talk about that stretch when you come back in March on how you made that happen. So that's super incredible. Oh.